very good morning to you. We are now in Luke chapter 19 with one of those stories that just brings a smile to your face. Really, it's verses 1 to 10. It's the story of Zacchaeus, whose name is incredibly difficult to spell unless you've got it in front of you. Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector and rich. He had lined his nest. He was very wealthy. He was regarded by his other Jews as a sinner because some of his riches, maybe quite a lot of his riches, I don't know, had been accumulated through taking more in tax than was required, or either that or not giving the Romans the full amount. I'm not quite sure which way he did it, but whichever way he did it, he defrauded a lot of people. And he was regarded as a sinner, not only for the cheating, but also because he collaborated with the occupying forces, the Romans. And Jericho was quite a prominent town, and Jesus was going through Jericho. And Zacchaeus was vertically challenged, perhaps we'll put it that way. He was small of stature. He was a short man. And he couldn't see over the crowd. We've all been in situations like that, where you go to a concert and the tallest people sit in the front row and there's no tiering of the rows and you can't see a thing because the tallest people have sat in the front row. Or maybe you stood in a crowd. Maybe you were there at some of the Jubilee celebrations and you stood in the crowd and you just caught a glimpse of somebody. Perhaps you didn't even see anybody important because you were in the crowd and you couldn't see. We've all been there. And Zacchaeus decided to climb up into a tree, into a sycamore tree, into the tree to see Jesus as he passed. And I think this is, out of all that huge crowd, out of all those people that were there, as Jesus was walking along, all the people who wanted to see him, to touch him perhaps, Jesus looked up into the tree and saw Zacchaeus where he was, a man whose desire to see Jesus had reduced his dignity to a humorous spectacle, really. An important man climbing up into a tree like a boy. So the first thing that changed his heart was the overwhelming desire he had to know who Jesus was, to see Jesus, to catch a glimpse of this renowned man who spent most of his time in the north of the country, rarely came down to the south, and even rarer than that, came to Jericho, which wasn't really on the direct route, certainly not on the route through Samaria to Jerusalem. This rare event, his desire was overwhelming. And that's where our search for God starts, doesn't it? When we won't settle for not seeing, for not finding out, for not exploring who Jesus is. That desire to know who he is, desire to see him, to see what all the fuss is all about. And I believe that desire is planted in our hearts by God the Holy Spirit, in his generous love for us. God puts his Spirit drawing us, calling us, showing us glimpses of something we don't understand. And we follow that desire. We seek until we find. And that's what Zacchaeus did. And Jesus came there and he looked up and he said, he didn't say, I know who you are, Zacchaeus. I know what your life has been like. I know what a bad person you've been. I know how many people you robbed. No, he didn't say anything like that. He said, I want to come to your house. I'm coming to have tea with you. I'm coming at your house today. You could have knocked him over with a feather, I'm sure. The thought that this man was actually going to come to his house, not come to the ruler of the synagogue's house or to the leader of the town's house, but to come to his house. And he said it in front of everybody. He said, "Come down. I'm coming to your house today. Coming to see you." But I can imagine what went through his mind. Goodness, if I'd known he was coming to my house, I would have got the servants. I got everything tidy and neat, and Jesus went to his house. And from the moment Jesus spoke to him, Zacchaeus' life changed. He realized that Jesus cared for him, knew who he was, cared for him, and wanted, not only knew who he was and cared for him, but wanted to pursue a relationship with him. He didn't shun him like everybody else did. He didn't reject him like everyone else did. He wanted to know him. And it changed Zacchaeus' life. He came down, he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. And the people, when they saw it, murmured, "He's gone in to be the guest of a man who's a sinner. He's known to be evil. He's known to be a bad man. And Jesus has gone to his house." The Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Wonderful. So Zacchaeus said to the Lord, his meeting Jesus changed Zacchaeus' life forever. He immediately said, "I'm giving half of what I've got away." Now, we have no evidence that Jesus said to him anything about his riches. Not like that young man, the previous chapter, we had that rich young ruler who was doing everything right, but he loved his riches. I'm sure Zacchaeus loved his riches. He was a wealthy man, very rich. But he said, I'm giving half of it away. And if I've defrauded anybody, I'm going to give them back fourfold. Now, the whole of the Old Testament law, every time it talks about people taking somebody else's property or by accident killing somebody else's livestock, they were to restore it and give extra as recompense. There was a requirement for restitution. You couldn't just say sorry and leave it at that. You had to replace what you had taken and also give recompense. And that is what we need to do. And when Jesus comes into our life, he changes us. And it is evident in what we do and how we do it that Jesus has come into our life. No one comes to Jesus and doesn't change. If they do, they're not really born again. I'll say that boldly. They're not really born again. If you've really met Jesus, he changes everything. And if you know you've done things wrong, you sort them out and you make restitution for them. That is the biblical way. That's my thought for the day. Happy Zacchaeus that Jesus came to his house. God bless you. Have a great day today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.